Welcome back, my fellow dabbers and dabberettes. Today we are here talking about some D-nail stuff, and this is a question I get actually a lot. Now that I have both the Go-Coil and the ultimate torchless heating system, which one is better? Which one should I buy? And why would I want one over the other? I get these questions so much, so let's go over them. Let's talk about it, break down the differences between the two, hopefully help you pick one out. For starters, I did do a quick video on the Go-Coil with some other D-nail updates, but the big difference here is we are going to be talking about the Slurper Go-Coil. This is specifically the 30mm Go-Coil that they have for slurpers and towers. The other Go-Coil I talked about was for buckets. They work essentially the same. The reason why I really like the Slurper Go-Coil from D-nail is I'm not sure if you can see the coloration difference here, but the big thing that D-nail touts with their Slurper Go-Coil is that they have tuned the coil so it's colder at the bottom and gets hotter as it goes up, because when you heat a slurper or a blender tower like this, you don't want the dish to be overly cooked. You want most of the heat to be here in the column. The dish is really just to melt the wax, and all of the vaporization happens up here on the column. So the way this sits in there, the dish doesn't get overly cooked, which really is a big bonus with the Go-Coil. Some last notes about the Go-Coil. The bracket to attach it to the PID and this heat shield are both additional kind of bonus accessories. Usually the Go-Coil only comes with the PID and this stand here. I do really like the heat guard and this mounting situation to make it all one cohesive unit. For the ultimate heating system, you can just go watch my other video, which I will link down below. I covered both the first version and the second version in my videos, so make sure to check those out, because I'm not really going to talk too much about how this one works in particular. I'm really just going to stick to the differences we are going to want to know in our buying adventure. Let's just get the hard part out of the way. The ultimate torchless heating system is like near 400, 500 bucks, and the Go-Coil is going to be closer to the $220 or $250 mark if you don't get any of the mounting brackets or heat shield. So for just the stand and the PID, it's like in the 200-ish, 20-ish mark. So right off the bat, there is a big difference in price. A lot of people want to know, is the $200 really worth it? In some ways, yes, and actually in some ways, no. And let's dive right into it. First of all, let's just talk about aesthetics. To me, the ultimate torchless heating system is a much more refined look. It's got this nice jack stand and this very nice exterior. And the Go-Coil is just a 30mm coil on a stand, so it doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing. They both use the same PID, so the ultimate torchless heating system would just plug into the back of this PID, and there is no mounting for this, so it would sit separately from the unit. For some people, that's really nice if you have a desk and you want to put the PID underneath, because with the ultimate torchless heating system, once you set the PID to a temperature, unless you're going to turn up the temperature to start seshing with a bunch of friends, you really just leave this temperature as is, all alone by itself. So you can hide the PID under your desk or behind your monitor or something like that, so you don't really ever have to look at it during use. With the Go-Coil, I really do suggest having the PID in view, because you'll want to keep track of the temperature that is being read out on the PID, whereas the torchless heating system, it doesn't matter at all. So now let's talk about the difference in usage. One of the other really big things that I just want to get out of the way about usage with these is the ultimate torchless heating system. You will absolutely need a temp reading device. It is incredibly difficult to get this to be at a point where you can pull it off and just hit the dab immediately. You run these at 900 degrees or higher, and since this is like a mini kiln, when you pull it out, your banger is going to temp read around the 700 mark. So you really will want to temp that down with a reader. You can guess it and just kind of wing it, and if your lungs aren't that sensitive, you can just kind of use counting or something to do it, but it really does help with a temp sensor. With the Go-Coil, I have dialed this into a point where I don't need a temp sensor at all. I can just throw it in, wait for it to heat up, and then pull it out and just be ready to go. So that's a really nice cost saving that a lot of people don't realize when looking at these. So not only do you have the more upfront cost for the heater itself, but you also need a temp sensor. With the Go-Coil, you can run it a lot hotter if you're with friends or at a party to get it to cycle faster so you can get bangers in and out and heat it up quicker. But at that point, you would need a temp sensor. If you're just like me, mostly dabbing by yourself, you can run this at about 560, and when you pull it off, it'll be in the 540, 550 range, which is really, really nice to just be able to pull it off and be ready to go for your dab. So the other really big difference in usage between these two objects is how you handle the banger. With the Ultimate Torchless Heating System, it is designed and intended to have the banger on your rig like you see here. This is really just going to come down to personal preference because some people like it one way and some people like it the other way. And the other way with the D-nail is you can just take your banger and pop it right in. And it just hangs in there and doesn't really need any extra support. And it's not intended to sit on your rig while in the heater. For someone like me and my desk setup, even though I have the Ultimate heater, I got this little stand that I use because I don't necessarily like picking up my rig. Even though this is a smaller rig, I do have some larger rigs. So I don't really like picking up the rig and moving it from the heater to where I'm gonna hit it, since where I do that and how my desk is situated, my heater is way off to the side, and then I like turning my chair so I sit and hit the rig directly in front of me. So picking up my rig, I don't really like. I do like the banger transfer situation where I take the banger out of the holder or out of the Go-Coil and sit it on my rig, which is already in front of me. I do have some friends, and I know quite a bit of people that do not like handling the hot banger. And even then, the neck does get pretty hot / warm. Not enough to burn you, but if you do kind of put it too close or rest it on the heater itself, it can get really hot there. I have a little bit of a kitchen hand situation because of my job, so I have really good heat protection on my hands because they're fairly calloused. So I don't mind picking up hot bangers out of the heater. So that would be the one big thing to consider, is kind of your workflow and what you're comfortable with doing. Are you okay picking up a hot banger and transferring it from your heater to your rig? Or are you more comfortable with something like this where you just pick up the cold rig and hit it as is? And that's one of the biggest workflow things with the coil and the heater. Now, have I seen people, or can you hang your banger in the heater like this? You can. And, you know, I'm not going to say that it won't work, but this completely defeats the purpose of the Ultimate Torchless Heating System. And that's the last point I'm going to go over of why you would want to choose the Torchless Heating System over the Go-Coil. And this is a big one for me, because this is really going to lend to how evenly and how nicely the quartz is heated up. With the Torchless Heating System, since the banger is suspended in air and not touching any part of the heater itself, the entire banger heats up and gets up to temperature evenly. And what this allows you to do is hit dabs at a much lower temperature. Because the quartz is completely heat soaked, colder parts of the banger don't rob it from hotter parts, and it keeps the whole banger at a neutralized temperature for longer. So you can actually get these really amazing low temperature dabs using the Torchless Heating System. This is also some of the smoothest dabs I've ever taken because there's no hot spots. And I can really tell the difference for how dirty the bangers get over time when I use it with one device or the other. The Torchless Heating System, because it's such an even temperature, nothing gets overheated and everything is evenly heated, I don't see any chaz or leftover residue on my banger after using the Torchless Heating System. With the Go-Coil, because there is physical contact between the banger and the coil, you're gonna get different temperatures at different parts of the banger. And also with the bigger towers like this, since the dish is in a colder zone and they're trying to just feather the temperature up the column, you do end up with different temperatures on the banger. And so that's made it a little difficult to where you temp sensor the banger when you're using the Go-Coil, because there is actually going to be a hot spot right in this zone when you use a tower like this. Or let's say you're using one of my other favorite styles of slurpers, which is a Vortex from Toro. This one actually doesn't even touch the bottom, but you see the barrel touches the side a little bit. Since it's a little bit shorter in the way that it sits there, the dish actually touches down here as well. So what I've realized is that the Go-Coil is going to be much closer to a torch feeling. If you really like the intensity that a torch brings, the Go-Coil is the way to go. If you want a little bit of a softer, more flavorful, low temp, really full bodied hit, the torchless heating system is going to be for you. If you like taking huge globs at really high temperatures, you could go either way. The torchless heating system will have a bigger sustained, so if you take big globs and you can do it all in one breath, the Go-Coil might be able to keep up with you. If you're taking 3 or 4 puffs of that big glob, you might want to get something like the torchless heating system because it's going to be a more heat-soaked situation across the entire quartz. The last 2 notes comparing the two, and that's going to be time and fitment. Time. From the time you heat up the torchless heating system and the time you heat up the Go-Coil from just bare cold, you're looking at about an 8 to 10 minute heat up, depending on what style and what density of banger and pillar you have with the torchless heating system. And with the Go-Coil, you're looking at about a 5 to 8 minute heat up, depending again on the style of banger and pillar and all of that you use. And again, that's from cold, 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 PID off, getting up first thing in the morning. If the units are already running and you have this set at 950 and I've been running this at about 560, it takes about 4 to 6 minutes, depending on the style, size, and shape of banger that you're using with the torchless heating system. And it takes about 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes with the Go-Coil. Now, if I turn the torchless heating system up to 1100 degrees and I turn the Go-Coil up to 600, of course those minutes drop down significantly, but then you will need to really keep track of your temperatures with a temp device. You're already using that at the lower temps with the torchless heating system, but you don't have to with the Go-Coil if you run it at a lower temperature and you're willing to just take a little bit of time. And I know people coming straight from a torch, that's going to seem absolutely crazy that it takes 3 minutes to heat up my banger when I could just take a torch to it and be like, and heat it up immediately. It's just a change in workflow. So instead of heating up the banger, getting my dab ready, yada, 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 waiting for it to cool down, now I'm just keeping bangers on here and leaving them heated up. So when I'm ready to take my next dab, I already am ready to go and don't even have to torch it. And so then it's just, again, a change of workflow. So once I take my banger off of the heater to put it on my rig to take that dab, I take a clean banger and put it on the heater so I'm ready to take my next dab whenever I'm ready to go. And really, then it makes it much quicker than a torch because I don't have to torch the device anymore. So sure, my first dab of the day takes a little longer. The dabs after that are just infinitely better. The last note about the torchless heating system and the Go-Coil, and that is fitment. So if you are like me and you have a plethora of different styles of bangers, like I have a slurper from Toro, I have a control tower from Highly Educated, I have a Victory Glassworks tower, and I have a D-Nail tower, lots of range. The coil is going to be a little difficult because it may or may not fit all of the bangers that you have. And these are a little more size dependent to the banger. You are really going to want to fit the coil to the size banger that you have, whereas the torchless heating system is really ultimate because it fits any banger that you can throw at it, whether it's a control tower or whatever size. A slurper from Toro, they all fit. With the coil, you'll run into the issue where they make many different sizes of these coils ranging from 25 to 40 millimeters. And that's because I have my 30 millimeter coil that fits my control tower snug as a bug in a rug. But then when I go ahead and use my D-nail, it does not work. So I would need a 35 millimeter coil to use that particular one. All of my other ones that are 30 millimeters fit fine. And the Toro hangs a little bit like that, which is okay. I don't mind it because I've found that the Toro really loves the torch style heating and loves to just eat all that heat up and has high airflow, so it does good with heat, and heats a little better in the Go-Coil than it does in the torchless heating system. And while the Go-Coil heats the control tower up pretty well, it does lead to some unevenness, which is why I get much better flavor and density out of the ultimate torchless heating system. So there is some give and take between the two. Now let's get down to the final, which would I pick? And that's a hard question for me because now that I have both, I really like using both. I've really found that the Go-Coil is aptly named because it is great on the go. This is my go-to for taking it to sessions, if I'm going to like a big picnic with a bunch of friends or something like that, where I just need something that's easy to go, take around, I don't need a temp sensor, and is fast on the heat up. But it does lead to some unevenness, dirty bangers, and a little bit of coughing. With the torchless heater, this is my go-to at-home device because I can just leave it on all day, cycle bangers in and out of it, and it's just always ready to go with these super even, just low temp, great dabs. And even if you like taking dabs at 700 or whatever, you can really just drop it down by 50 and 100 degrees, still get that full-bodied feeling that you would get off a Torch 700 degree dab and have a great experience. So don't take me always talking about low temp dabs as the only thing this heater can do, because I've seen people just take absolutely ripper high temp dabs from this heater. Is this worth the extra couple $100? If you are a connoisseur or a big time dabber and you only dab when you're at home, I would definitely say that the torchless heating system is the way to go. If you're looking for that quick on the go dab, you don't really care and just want something down and dirty that's better than a torch, the Go-Coil you'll do fine with. It's great, it works awesome, it's super quick, but it just feels like the electronic version of a torch. So if you want that just elite, ultimate, flavorful dab, spend a couple $100 extra, get the heating system. If you don't care and you're just like y'all 700 degree dabs of some resin, go with the Go-Coil. No one's gonna judge you differently and it works just as good. Either way you go, you will not be disappointed. I have been so happy with both of these products from D-Nail, no regrets, and I have not touched a torch in a very long time. And I can say I am really, really happy about that. So let's get the Go-Coil all set up with a banger, get a rig. We're about to get it turned on. We're gonna get a banger in there. I do like turning it on and heating it up with a banger inside. Push the button to get it turned on and we'll see how fast it heats up and how fast it'll be ready to go. And this is why I like to have the temperature showing and the PID attached to the Go-Coil, because actually once it's at temperature and you put a banger in, you can see the temperature drop and then go back up, giving you an idea of when your banger will be ready to go. Speed up this part, speed up, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, timer, And we're back. And before I get started with the dab, I do want to talk a little bit about the PID and some things you saw as the PID went up. If you notice that even though I only have the PID set at 560, the PID shot all the way up to 630. And this is a thing that is the way that the PID is programmed and can differ between manufacturers and who you got the PID from. And where this is going to play a really important bit of information is in one of my videos coming up, where I'm going to compare the Go-Coil to the disorderly conduction Cobra coil, which has a similar but different PID setting that has a different ramp. I like the D-Nail one because it goes way up above in temperature and then comes back down to normalize, helping the quartz inside the coil heat up faster, leading to a little bit of a faster heat up and a much more thorough heat soak of the banger on your first heat up of the day. So now that you see it dropping back down to temperature, once this hits my temperature or a couple degrees with it, it should be about ready to go. Especially with the first one of the day, I do like to let it heat up just a little bit extra to get that extra heat soak in. So we're gonna let it just sit for a second. All right, make sure I have a cap ready. Got my nice heady cap from Power Pat. And we're gonna take a scoop out of the bulk rosin jar because doing the heady stuff all the time is good, but there ain't nothing wrong with hitting a little bit of bulk live hash rosin. Now that we're close enough to my temperature, I got a dab on the tool and my cap ready to go. We're gonna go ahead, pull this off, and get ready to rock. Wow. Holy, wow. A little spicy for me personally, but a great dab nonetheless. Go ahead, dump this out, get my banger ready to clean. Thanks for joining me on this dab. Hopefully this helped you decide on whether you should get a Go-Coil or an ultimate heater or both. I mean, really, that's what I did. So I wouldn't blame you. And as always, happy dabbing and stay lifted. Psst, come hang out with us on Discord.